I almost completely forgot. We've got to go back and do all this one-tailed again. I'm out of practice on doing two tails and one tail as well, I suppose. So we know from our past history with this that this will change our hypotheses and will change our critical regions, but won't change step 3 with the math. So let's look at our step changes. And we don't need to redo the prep work. All that stuff is the same. Well, step 1 is declaring our hypotheses. Just like always, with the two-tailed test, we're more generic, and with the one-tailed test, we're more specific. So two-tailed, we just said there will be a relationship. Maybe it's a positive direction, maybe it's a negative direction, but some direction there will be a relationship. Well, now we're going to be specific. Are we specifically predicting a positive relationship where one goes up, the other goes with it? Or are we specifically expecting a negative? Well, hi kitten. Based on the story problems for other problems, it may tell you that they're expecting these to go up when that goes down, which would be negative. It may say they're expecting a negative relationship, be very straightforward. This problem we were working on, again, really wasn't a story problem to do all the steps for anyway, so there is no indication there. But we did do a scattergram. And what did we see in the scattergram? We saw a negative relationship. We saw a negative direction. So based on that scattergram, that's how we're going to form our hypotheses, our prediction. So we are specifically now saying that the alternate hypothesis is going to predict a negative relationship, because that's what the scattergram tells us. So rho, the value of the relationship, according to the alternate hypothesis, will be less than 0 because we're expecting a negative value. Null hypothesis, as always, says that the opposite. So rho, the relationship value, will be equal to or greater than 0. If we were expecting a positive relationship, we'd flip that to a greater than 0 and flip that around to less than or equal to. But again, we're basing this on the scattergram, which was a negative direction, so that's what we're predicting. Our step 2, well, we're now down to one tail. Alpha level is still 0.05. Our degrees of freedom is still 4. So we got to get back in the table. We want to go use the top row for one-tailed, right? 0.05 be the very first listing down to a 4. 7.29 is what we see there. And negative, remember, only negative. With one-tailed test, it's either only negative or it's only positive. In this case, we're expecting a negative direction, so we're only looking at the negative tail. Well, we know from step 3 that none of that math changed. Our R statistic was a negative 0.06, which of course is still in the same spot here in the body. So in the end, nothing changes in terms of our decision. It still failed to reject the null hypothesis. APA would still say R equals negative 0.06 semicolon, N equals 6 semicolon, P greater than 0.05. So there is our one-tailed version of that Pearson R problem we just ran. Now we can start marching through all the vocabulary.